Today's episode of Still Untitled is made possible with support from Widex, a global leader in premium hearing aid technology. Widex offers sophisticated hearing technology to meet all budgets and lifestyle needs. In fact, their latest Evoke hearing aid tech connects to most modern media devices for wireless streaming of phone calls, music, and of course, podcasts like Still Untitled right into your hearing aids. You may not know it, but Adam himself uses the latest Widex model called Evoke, and he listed it as one of his top tech items of 2018. Today's hearing aids are truly at the front line of innovation. If you, a family member, or a friend are experiencing hearing loss, getting tested and treated now is the best course of action. Widex wants to give you, our listeners, the opportunity to try their hearing aids for yourselves with no obligation to purchase. Simply go to widex.com/tested, that's widex.com/tested, to learn where you can trial Widex hearing aids near you. Now on with the show.
Welcome to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Will.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Norm.
Well, hello, gentlemen.
Hello, lads.
Hello.
It's a calm before the storm.
Yes.
I
yes.
leave tonight for New York City.
Oh, wow.
New York City Comic Con is this coming weekend, but I'm going ahead of time to do some meetings and to do some work. And also, I'm actually going to see a couple of shows. I'm going to see Darren Brown's magic show on Broadway.
Okay.
Ooh.
I'm going to go see Freestyle Love Supreme, a new show Lin-Manuel is putting on with a bunch of friends. It's I'm very excited about that. And yeah, and then I come back for like 48 hours, and then my wife and I head out on a lovely trip we're very excited about.
Much deserved.
Cool. Yeah, a little time off.
Indeed.
Yeah. And it'll be fall in New York. So that's one of the great reasons we look forward to New York Comic Con every year. Fall in New York, October.
Dude.
If you're lucky, it's one of the 3 good weeks of New York weather.
Listen, New York is amazing in April, and it's amazing in October, and it has many great days in between. But those 2 months of April and October are just reasons to live.
But don't worry, we've shot lots of build videos. Of course, there's going to be a big incognito costume walk. I believe we've already announced it on Friday, sometime Friday at New York.
This incognito has really kicked my ass. It's already being packed. Oh my God.
It's because like 2 weeks ago when I was talking to you, you were like, this is going really well. I can't believe it.
This mechanism that's a deep part of this, I thought would take me like 2 days of hard work, and it was more like 7.
Ooh.
Yeah. Like I had to build the whole thing multiple times to get it to work, and then to get things to work around it. It was just way more complex than I thought it would be.
Fun. Like, did you learn anything fun?
Wow. Southampton, Pennsylvania. Hello. Okay, bye.
Wait. Hold on. Cron 4.
Yes.
I just got an email.
Oh, that's hilarious. I don't see any reason to cut that out. That was a local news station wanting to talk to me about the fact that my Land Cruiser got robbed.
We buried the lead. Yeah, we'll talk about New York in a second. But yeah, it was an eventful weekend for you. Let's start off.
My mom was in town. My mom came. She left this morning, which is why she's not on the podcast right now.
Yeah.
We had a lovely weekend. I actually took her to San Diego on Saturday.
Oh, wow.
For TwitchCon. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Oh, I would love to hear what she thought about TwitchCon.
She had a great time.
I'm sure.
And then as we woke up on Saturday morning, I found one of my Savage stickers on the ground in front of my house. And I was like, oh, I guess I must have dropped that.
Littering, that's not good.
And then I looked over and I could see something was wrong in my Land Cruiser, and then I looked and saw that it had been ransacked.
Oh.
The sinking feeling.
Yeah.
The smashed glass.
And I'm very sad about that. Everything I lost is incredibly replaceable. Everything. They took some tools, they took some handy things I had in there, and I was kind of a dummy. I kept some things in there. There's no longer anything in there. It is bare as a bone.
This is a lesson everybody learns when they live in San Francisco. You learned in the past, and we get lax. Like, I have way more stuff in my car now than I should.
I would say that I actually suffered the illusion that, like, the Land Cruiser elicited some goodwill. Like, there was a shovel on the side that no one had taken in 3 years, and it hadn't been locked, and it was kind of my favorite social experiment that this shovel just clipped to the side that no one had taken, and now someone's taken it. It feels like a spell has been broken, and I'm sad about it. Cron 4 was calling to interview me, and Peter Hartlaub also called me. It's basically no reporter you've ever done an interview with throws out your number. They keep them all.
I have a Rolodex full of them.
So I've been getting some calls, and I must admit I'm not that interested in doing interviews about crime in San Francisco, right? Like I'm worried that that's the angle that people want to talk about. Like, oh, the homeless problem in San Francisco. And it's like, the homeless problem in San Francisco is not a crime problem. It's a policy policy problem.
Yeah, well, it's a combination. Yes, we don't build enough houses for the number of people who live here. So a single room, one bedroom apartment costs $4,000 a month.
Yeah,
which is insane.
And around the world, like I'm very happy owning my house in San Francisco, but I'm also cognizant of the fact that in every housing market in which housing is a good investment, there's a housing shortage. Mm-hmm. It's not a mystery as to why. And so the pains that San Francisco is going through, of its homeless population, of its difficulty meeting the needs of its inhabitants, they pain me. The tide of human misery here in the Mission is intense, but I worry that when it gets a lot of coverage, you end up with a lot of people that feel justified in blaming the homeless people themselves, and I do not.
We see that happening on this national stage when Trump comes out and says, "Look, we have a homeless problem. We're going to just build a bunch more internment camps,
right?"
And throw. And I was like, you know what? I've been upset about the human feces problem in San Francisco and joked about the BART escalators and all the things that San Francisco residents do for a long time. And the moment he said that, I was like, you know what? F that guy. That's not the problem. Isn't the people? The problem is like you said, it's the policy.
So
anyway,
I attempt very hard to be very philosophical about it. Like I said, I did not lose anything unreplaceable. I did lose, as I tweeted, the whip that was built for the Mythbusters Indiana Jones episode.
It was the last episode, the one that you swung across the pit? Or last season?
Second to last season, I believe. Okay. And yeah, I swung across the pit on this. The whip was built by Ron Morgan, son of David Morgan. David Morgan, incredible whip maker and teacher to a whole generation of whip makers in the United States. Has a wonderful company up in Washington State. They import kangaroo hide. They sell whips. And David Morgan famously made all the whips for all the Raiders films. And an incredible craftsman and an incredible piece of work, and valuable to me mostly for its sentimental value that it was, and it was in my cruiser because I had taken it out on a Savage Builds shoot. It was like, oh, if we have a big outdoor space, I'll practice cracking my whip. Like, why not? Where I can do it safely, because it sounds like a 22 rifle going off.
Well, yeah, you go out to Dolores Park and crack a 14-foot whip, you're going to kill somebody.
That brings out a whole specific kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So look, it's certainly feasible for me to reach back out to the Morgans and commission another whip. They built it to our specs. They can build another one to our specs, and I could put another one in my collection, and I probably will. Mm-hmm. So again, when something like this happens, it's sad making, because I don't like the idea of someone going through my stuff. And weirdly, okay, this is the weird part of what they stole. Up in my cruiser, I have one of these top shelves above the windshield that they sell for 40 series Land Cruisers. And in that shelf, I had put an old 8-day winding aircraft clock, plus some switches for some of the various features around. And I had 3 screens that were connected to 3 cameras on the outside of the car that helped me drive, park, and maneuver.
Because it's a right drive car.
It's a right-hand drive car. But also because I loved doing the projects of putting all this crap in there. And they yanked all of that stuff out. So they stole all this stuff that is super custom and won't do anyone else any good ever.
Yeah.
Which to me is just like, that's just dumb. Yeah. I mean, look, I'll do it again. I'll build that stuff again. We'll do a nice one-day build about it. But that was unpleasant. An unpleasant morning. And then the day became fantastic because my mom and I got on a plane, went to San Diego, and went to TwitchCon. Let's talk about TwitchCon.
How was TwitchCon? So I went to TwitchCon last year, San Jose, and I wasn't prepared. Like, I have been to some cons, right? Yeah. I have seen a con or two. I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of what a con was. I was not prepared.
Everyone in this room has done Comic-Con. We've done big pop culture conventions. We've done, in terms of video games, we've done like PAX and E3. And but it is a different flavor of convention.
So I did not walk the floor at TwitchCon.
There's not. The floor is mostly tailored to broadcasters.
Okay.
Like it's stuff that you need if you want to stream video games or crafts or cooking or whatever it is you do on Twitch. So there's not a lot of like just, hey, here's some video games or here's some stuff for normal people to buy. So it's kind of trade showy in that regard.
Okay. I found the people so I was brought down there to host the judging of a cosplay contest of people cosplaying as, mostly as characters from various video games.
Yep.
The level of cosplay, and a friend of Mythbusters, Harrison Cricks, Volpin.
Volpin. Was a judge there.
Was one of the judges wearing a mind-blowingly beautiful Fallout 4. And actually, all 4 judges were dressed really neat and awesome, and they were fabulous about giving great perspective on the costumes, the 16 costumes that made the finals. And it was really fun. My co-host was Anna Prosser Robinson, who's a producer for Twitch and also on-screen talent. Again, the whole team I dealt with at Twitch was fabulous. The production managers, the stage people, they were super professional, super buttoned down, really easy to deal with.
It was at San Diego Comic-Con.
It was at San Diego Convention Center. Yeah. Which again felt really funny to be at when it wasn't Comic-Con.
Parallel universe.
And it was a wonderful day. That was really, really fun. The costumes were jaw-dropping.
Well, one of the neat things about the Twitch cosplay community is that a lot of people will show the in progress work. Like they check in and they do, like, if you're doing this, if you have 3 hours of sewing to do, fire up the stream and do the sewing and answer questions and talk to people as you're building your costumes, and it's amazing.
And I really, that interests me in doing that here. Like, that is actually, we did the live build at the Smithsonian in July, and I really found that differently than a cut video, when people are genuinely there watching the process unfold, they're seeing something they don't normally get to see, and I like that kind of access.
It would be really easy to put together a cart that you have a couple of cameras on some booms that you can just kind of roll around the shop and stream out of. I think that would be a really fun project.
Yeah, I'm super interested in that. We are also working on developing with some technology this year that might also help us for that, which I will keep quiet for right now. But there's some fun stuff that may dovetail nicely with this.
And I also think the subject matter, like, we go to a lot of conventions where there are cosplay contests, and most of that stuff is either genre based, out of TV shows, movies, or novels, or comic books. But the video game cosplay world is a whole different world.
And one of the things I loved most was how much granular detail there was on each costume and all of the processes involved to create that costume. People might not know this, but 15 or 20 years ago, there was a huge distinction people made between craft and art. And there was this whole thing of like, well, crafters aren't making art, and art is something, and that the maker movement has, in my estimation, from what I've seen, kind of killed that debate. And I think it's good and dead. It deserves to be killed. I don't make a distinction between craft and art. And
when you say craft, you mean things like things that we would, like quilting, we would
things
think
that
of
people
as a
would
craft.
call crafting. Yeah, scrapbooking, quilting. Again, cosplay
It's girl stuff, Adam.
Right.
I mean, but I'm like, that's the crappy thing about
ridiculous
that
gendering of the practice. Exactly.
And I think cosplay, in specifically going back to the video game world, has done something interesting in that people doing cosplay and embodying their characters has then led to the companies diversifying the type of characters they put in the games.
Oh, absolutely.
And then because they love sharing the assets, they put turnarounds, all the graphics, it's all digital, right? So
and many of these finalists had plenty of deals and commissions from video game companies, so it's this wonderful self-perpetuating.
Well, and when you see a situation with a game like Overwatch, when they release a new character, or Respawn, when they release a new character for Apex Legends, they show enough of those characters before they're even released in the game, that people can start working on costumes and have reference material. And some of them even release like models and the whole thing, so they can take it apart and digitally and like have assets. It's not like you're looking at frames.
There was a mind-blowing like 8.5 foot tall Nuka-Cola costume on stilts, and the entire thing was 3D printed. Apparently the guy had 4 3D printers running simultaneously for weeks.
Well, it's funny because it's like even when we started testing, I remember the first time you brought Harrison in for a live show when he brought, I think, Daft Punk helmets and maybe
Mass Effect rifles.
Mass Effect rifles, yeah. And I was like, I don't know about this cosplay stuff. This seems a little weird. And that was in 2010, probably. and then you started going around, and it's just been a wave over the last 9 years that's grown and grown and grown until like, my parents know what cosplay is and are like sending me pictures of cosplay stuff.
And more than like at one point, one of the costumes was a beautiful mermaid costume, really, really gorgeous with silicone scales,
which is the whole thing. Just to be clear, like there's a big mermaid cosplay scene,
and she had made the rock she lay upon, and she had armor on. And Harrison pointed out that she had armor made in some places out of silicone, in some places it was made out of urethane, and in some places it was 3D printed, and the color matched on all 3 of them. Wow. And he's like, "That's really hard." And the thing is that before cosplay, only a very small subset of people in the film industry and perhaps some other industries know weird esoteric things like that. Like multiple different textures and materials are hard to color match to each other. But you end up with this community that's beautifully supporting each other by transferring and trading this kind of information.
Well, and the thing that makes me happy. And the thing that we always said when you were doing cosplay photos at Maximum PC in 2009, 2000 and earlier is that like the cosplay, we said this before here, it has to hold up to a much higher level of scrutiny than a lot of film props, because you're looking at it from 2 feet away with your eyes instead of looking at it with a 50 millimeter lens from 30 feet away.
Zero control of the lighting.
Yeah.
Well, and in a film, if you have a glove with mechanics in it, they're going to have a special glove for that close up, and a cosplayer has to wear that thing all day long.
It's funny because it's started to go the other way now too. Like when you go and look at, if you ever get a chance to go and look at one of the Game of Thrones costume exhibitions, absolutely go do it. Because when the work that they put into those clothes is off the charts, like unbelievable. And I think if that show had come out 20 years before, you wouldn't have seen that, because they would have just banged out a dress, painted on the markings, and been like, that's only been in the shot for 2 seconds from 20 feet away.
There's some old Matthew Broderick film, I can't remember which one it is, but it's really bad.
Godzilla?
In which the sword, it's not even one.
I'm sorry.
The sword is literally a flat piece of metal that's been polished. Yep. Like there's not even an edge on it. It's literally like it looks like a toy sword that's been expanded into the human-sized universe.
Yeah, exactly. That's perfect.
So TwitchCon was lovely. San Diego was a fabulous, like 73 degrees and sunny.
Weather's so good, it's bad for your soul.
You bought a costume too.
Oh, yeah. What did you wear?
You're a Jack Aubrey.
I did. And it's funny. I've not worn the Jack Aubrey costume in public. We have those photos from when I first got it. And we took photos of me here in the shop. But I have never worn it at a con.
Huh. Wait, it's not what you did your Akbar under?
No, Akbar was in Admiral Lord Nelson's Trafalgar uniform.
Of course.
It's totally different.
Of course.
I got retweeted by Russell Crowe.
Oh, nice.
Who carefully explained that I could not be captain of his boat. Because the HMS Surprise, the boat from Master and Commander, is in San Diego. Yeah. So I went by it after TwitchCon and took photos out front.
I was going to say, you should have gone in and been like, hey, can I go take some pictures behind the helm?
We talked to the Maritime Museum people, and the guy with the keys to the surprise had just left for the day. So I got to go back.
Well, I gotta go back and take some more photos sometime.
We'll find a reason to be in San Diego. I'm sure, at least once a year.
Does it sail? Like, do they take it? Can you take a harbor cruise on the?
No, I don't think so. I know that it was a teaching ship when the production bought it.
Okay.
So it had, I think, if I remember correctly, it was built in the 70s, and it was a teaching ship for a couple decades when Peter Weir's production bought it. I actually got reached out to by one of the art department from the film, who had told me some wonderful stories via Twitter DMs of working on the film and some of the props that they built.
It's a partial scale, or is it a full scale? Because I know that,
the Surprise is full scale.
Okay, because the Pirates of the Caribbean ships were all like 2/3 or something. They're small.
Were they?
Yeah.
It's a good question. I'm not 100% positive. It's a big boat, and it's also smaller than you think.
Yeah.
And in the museum one in San Diego, you can't get below the first deck.
Oh.
They've closed it off, probably because it's all like 5.5 foot ceilings, so everyone bumped their heads. But hopefully, when I go back, maybe we can set up, like, I can take some photos all over that. And,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you had fun at TwitchCon. That's awesome.
It was great.
The thing that amazes me about Twitch in general is how, and I've been streaming for like 2 years on Twitch now, 3 years or something on Twitch, is how, like, obviously you see all the channels that have like 60,000 people watching, and that has all the problems that large scale internet has.
Right.
But there's millions and millions and millions of channels that anywhere from like 5 to 500 or 1,000 people watch. And the communities that form around those channels are unlike anything I've seen on the internet, on the modern internet.
That's really cool. And I'm really interested. So this is a call for some information from this cast. I'm curious about maker channels on Twitch. I'm curious about people's favorite maker streams. I'd like to take a look at these.
I can send you a couple.
Yeah, I would really appreciate that. If anybody wants to put them in the comments, I will chase these links. I'm really curious about this because I love the idea of that long form.
It might be better to at you because I think on YouTube the comments will get filtered out.
Oh, I won't read the comments on YouTube.
Okay.
I meant test members.
Okay, very good.
I don't ever read the comments on YouTube. Why would I start?
Good policy.
So New York, you can see some shows, you can see some friends. Your mom's going to be there, obviously. You're doing this thing at Anime Fest as well. I think that's Friday evening, I want to say.
That's what you said last week, yeah.
Yeah, and I know you're coming back and going on vacation, but we have shot a couple of builds that we have keyed up that we're going to go edit. You had a visitor in the shop last week, Anthony Kovacs.
Anthony Kovacs. It's very funny because my executive assistant's name is A. Kovacs.
Yeah.
And so I have many times in the last year that I've known Anthony Kovacs accidentally sent him tons of email. Anthony is a wonderful maker and builder and fantastic with the sewing machine and has built several things for me and with me and Ryan Nagata because he is a space nut job in the most wonderful way. Deeply obsessed with NASA like I am.
Cool.
Yeah. So you guys did a collaboration?
We did a collaboration on a one-day build and it was really cool. I'll show it to you after the cast. Well, everyone else is just going to have to wait.
I know there's
I
so
wanna
much stuff
see.
we cannot show. That's so good. Oh, you said you hung out with your mom this weekend. It made me think. I watched the movie The Farewell this weekend.
Farewell.
The Farewell. This is Lulu Wang's movie about with Aquafina about going to China.
Yes.
It is. I cannot recommend it highly.
Really?
Enough. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know the premise? It's a
Oh, yeah, I do.
Asian American whose grandmother's dying, and the family goes back to China. But
she doesn't know she's
It's a
dying.
birthday party, but it's
a wedding.
Wedding, that's it.
And as an excuse to get the family together.
Is this a thing that happens?
It was a real thing that not only did this specific story happen, it was the movie was based off of the director's telling of her this story on a This American Life episode.
Oh, wow.
But it is a cultural thing that happens. And not a thing I was very familiar with.
Yeah.
But it's about how families communicate.
Wow.
And there is a scene in the movie that is, you know how Crazy Rich Asians has the mahjong scene that everyone talks about?
Yeah.
I think there's an equivalent to that scene that's just as good with it. And I'm still just, processing it.
Interesting.
Yeah. I call it the Lazy Susan scene. I think people who have watched it would know.
Okay. Well, I was going to make a joke about communication in my family being mostly yelling, but it seems too real. So
I watched a couple more episodes of Couples Therapy.
Okay.
Still really worth watching.
I watched a really serious show about interpersonal relationships called Doom Patrol. It's
it's a DC show.
It's a DC show, and it's about
Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, it has Brendan Fraser.
Really? How is Brendan Fraser?
He's larger.
He's such a great actor. I love that guy.
So it's a superhero thing, but they're not really superheroes, and it's a mixture of like they're kind of all misfits that get pulled in by Timothy Dalton.
Timothy Dalton, that's right.
Timothy Dalton is
James
like
Bond himself.
Well, I don't know if we want to go that far, but
the villain from The Fuzz.
there you go. That's
Cousin
better.
Skinner.
Fuzz.
Cousin Skinner. Yeah. Sissy Skinner.
It's really. I was because it's on the DC network only, like their special thing. It's not at all what I was expecting, and it's really like there's some really interesting characterizations. There's like the powers are weird. Brendan Fraser plays a completely stoic robot man. He's like he dies in a car crash, and his brain gets popped out and jammed into a robot that has no facial movement whatsoever.
How do you act?
It's all voice, and it works. Like it's voice and body movement, and it's all carried in. It's all carried in him, like having this weird frame that he can kind of control, but not really super well. And it's. I was shocked. I was really blown away by it. I should have looked up names before we started the show, but there's 2 women. One plays Elastic Girl, DC Elastic Girl, who like can't control. When she gets stressed out, she turns into a blob, which I can identify with. And then there's a woman that has like 65 personalities, and each personality has a different superpower, and it's just like the best bad gimmick for one-off gags that I've ever seen. Like it's really fun and silly and kind of heartfelt and sweet, and it's not what I was expecting.
So while signing autographs at Phoenix Fan Fusion Con, I did a long signing. It was like 3.5-4 hours, several hundred people, and when you're doing that, you end up accidentally misspelling a bunch of names.
Yeah,
so you become adept at asking people how to spell their names. And I thought, oh, you know what would be a really funny, trivial superpower? Is the guy who knows how your name is spelled, no matter what.
Get a job at any coffee shop in the country.
I went to a Chris Kimball signing once, and he just has a stack of Post-it notes and a Sharpie that go back, and they're like, write your name clearly on the Sharpie.
Oh, nice.
And then you handed the book with the Sharpie on it, and he just does the signature.
That's very civilized.
Look, as he said, this gives me more time to talk to you when we get there.
Yes.
Rather than doing the I was like, you are such a thoughtful man. What a lovely human being.
What else has gone on this week?
Oh my God! I mean, there's things that we just can't talk about. Unfortunately, it's the New York. We're
it's
just
all hands getting ready for New York.
Yeah, our team's gonna be there.
Looking forward to again. Love the team that puts on New York Comic Con.
Cool.
And New York in October. It's just what could be better.
Last week I was at the big Oculus convention.
Oh yeah,
So I got to see our friend Eric Cheng there. And
right. Another one of our one-day builds is a really cool Oculus adjacent build.
I can't even say what it is.
Nope.
God, you're killing me over here. I'm gonna have to wait until the end of this podcast to find out what all this stuff is. This is horrible. You guys are monsters. They announced good stuff.
Yeah.
The fact that the Quest can plug into a PC this November is very exciting.
I actually finished a book this week. Colson Whitehead's The Underground Railroad. It is a historical fiction, and it posits. Yeah, this is the spoiler. I mean, this is part of every book review of it. First of all, it's magnificently, beautifully written. The prose is incredible. My wife handed it to me and said, by the end of the first paragraph, you're hooked. And she's totally right. It's the efficiency of the prose feels like Henry James.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you've read.
Yeah.
So like I read Washington Square last year, and I hadn't read much Henry James in a long time. And the thing that's amazing about him, and it's similar to like Moby Dick, is how modern it feels. And how much that's Henry James. This feels similarly dense with the psychology of the people that he's writing about. But the conceit is that the Underground Railroad is an actual underground railroad that's secret and has been built by slaves to get each other out of the South.
This is historical fiction set during the late 19th century?
During the slavery, yeah. And it's horrifying. It's difficult to read and so beautiful and really, really moving. I was finished it on an airplane and was like trying not to openly weep.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really, really incredible. Colson Whitehead, The Underground Railroad. Really worth your time.
I have a different kind of book recommendation. I love coffee table books. We've talked about those.
Yep.
And I always love the making of the film books. I've now realized that when a big film comes out, often there are multiple making of books that some are, planned much in advance. And in this case, the movie Solo, came out last year. And there was like an art book, The Art of Solo. And I this is a pattern now. Like there's going to be an art of the Rise of Skywalker.
Yep.
And these books are all done before the film is done. It's like the author is embedded and sometimes access to art, and it's good and stuff. But sometimes like things change in the final editing that like isn't reflected in the book. And it's really neat to get like some insight like, oh, when the author wrote this, they didn't realize that that plot point would get changed. And I think it happened with Rogue One. Like there are things in the Art of Rogue One book that you'd never made it into a movie.
That's really
but they had to
cool.
go to press. Yeah. Right. But they're also then making of books that are done released after the film. And for Solo, the visual effects supervisor, a guy at LM, Rob Bredo, B-R-E-D-O-W, I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know if you worked with him at all.
I don't think so.
He was a VFX supervisor on Solo and also an incredible photographer. He has put out a book about the making of Solo from his perspective as VFX supervisor.
Oh, wow.
That is not told, it's told from chronologically from the point of production.
Oh.
Which I really dug.
Oh, wow. What
So
a lovely...
it's prose?
That's
It's not like a big, it's not like
It's a
art
big
book?
photo book.
Okay.
Big photo book.
This is custom built for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Like being on a movie set and having complete free reign to take from his perspective.
Right.
And he's a great photographer.
Amazing.
It's like, it's the dream. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So it's called Making Solo from ILM.
I finished a video game last week that's, do you know what the SCP is? Okay, so I'm going to look it up because I didn't know about this until I started playing this. The SCP is a fictional organization documented by a web-based collaborative fiction project where in the website's fictional setting, the Foundation is responsible for locating and containing individuals, entities, locations, and objects that violate natural law. So it's like the good episodes of the X-Files, but it's written in a what's the thing, the beautiful, the fiction writing thing where you write a sentence, hand it off to the next person.
An exquisite corpse.
Exquisite corpse. It's an exquisite corpse kind of thing where everybody's writing their own little individual things. And the people at Remedy, which I think is a Finnish or Danish video game developer, took that concept and made a game about it. Like it's a third-person shooter where you're just this woman who goes into this place and the building is a mystery that you have to unravel, and it's been taken over by this entity thing. I'm doing a terrible job explaining this game. It is basically you journey through to find out what happened to your brother is the goal, and it's the exploring this world has been one of the more fascinating video game experiences I've ever had, because as you go through the world, you find all the like internal memoranda from the universe, and they describe some of the objects in the world that like the bureau that you're exploring are the people in charge of collecting all the weird X-Files stuff from the world and keeping the populace under control. So they touch on all of the bananas conspiracy theories, Korean fan death and chemtrails and and all the way the way down the road. And it's the writing on the memoranda is just the best video game writing I think I've ever been exposed to.
Fabulous.
There is a letter. There's one letter that I found that is about a guy who is convinced that cigarette smoking is keeping the aliens away. The cigarette smoke is toxic to the aliens. So the alien, like there's a whole department, this is the dead letters that they get. They're like, this isn't a real problem. This is just crazy people, not an actual bad thing. And it's just screed about him being convinced that the anti-smoking thing is the aliens taking over the government so they can take over the world.
Yeah, sure.
And it ends with, I have a website. People will know the truth. And you're just like, oh my God, it's like they pulled this from the internet. This is a real thing. It's very
and
good.
the game is called?
It's called Control. It's by Remedy. It's on the Xbox and the PlayStation and PC Epic Game Store, I think.
Awesome.
It is, I described it to a friend as like the good episodes of the X-Files.
And I know that you guys have been asking us to talk about Ad Astra. I still have not yet seen
Well, I
it.
was going to say, in New York, you're going to find opportunities to watch movies.
I'm going to give it a shot. It might go to an early morning matinee. Who knows?
I love an early morning matinee.
Yeah, I know. They're very straight. Coming out of one of those is very like, blink, blink.
Yeah, it's like, I'm ready for dinner now. Oh, it's 11:30. So we'll probably no podcast next week then, because you're going straight from Comic-Con on.
We'll try. I would love to try.
Okay.
I want to get the recap.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
want
I
to talk
think
about some of the things.
Monday afternoon or Tuesday morning,
Yeah.
we should be able to make it work.
Okay. I'll plan to keep it clear.
You get some of our internal
Should we
sausage being made.
plugs? Got anything on the site this week, Norm?
Yeah. Oh, God. I don't want to say. No, you just got to wait. Subscribe to the channel. You just got to wait.
I got a plug. My new podcast is out.
Yes.
It's techpod.content.town. I record every week an episode, a single deep dive on a topic. This week we talked about internet protocol, how that stuff works.
Yeah.
Got all the way down, drilled down to, talked about routing tables and the whole thing.
I was going to listen to that on the plane tonight because I'm taking a red eye.
That'll help you go to sleep. Yeah. You'll be right there. But yeah, it's on iTunes and Google and all the Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, we're there now.
Well,
All right.
yeah. I think that's
3
it.
wildly different recommendations, and then hopefully we'll have all shared. We'll have all seen Ad Astra maybe by next week.
Exactly. I hope so.
All right.
See y'all next week.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
Bye.